Alright everybody, welcome back to another movie review. Today I'm reviewing The Conjuring Last Rites, the fourth and last installment of the Conjuring franchise that me and my friend saw last night. Now this is going to contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, just watch this after you see it, of course. If not, I don't care what you do. So let's start with what I liked and what I didn't like. I don't normally get scared or frightened during scary movies or horror movies, whatever. But I did get stressed and a little bit of anxiety watching this one. It starts off like very tense, stressful. Lorraine touches the haunted mirror and she goes into labor with Judy, and they have to race to the hospital, make sure Lorraine gets it. She's in an incredible amount of pain. It's raining outside. You don't know if she's going to make it. Out comes Judy. It looks like they had a miscarriage, stillborn, whatever you want to call it. She makes it, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, growing up, she sees these things, and we fast forward even more, and we come to realize that this family, the Smurls, I believe their names are, the last name, in Pennsylvania, it looks like in western Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh or somewhere, I don't know. They eventually end up with the mirror that haunted Judy, Lorraine, and Ed, and it comes back to this family. Now, I did think that the movie did a good job of, when you watch a horror movie or like a horror movie, when the jump scares are pretty much coming. But I thought this movie did a really good job of still making you kind of, jump and flinch even when you expected it. And secondly, I thought they did a good job when there was a scene with like a demon or a monster, whatever you want to call it. They did a good job of showing it, but not showing too much, to the point where you got used to the face or the character, where it didn't scare you that much until the end, and I'll get to that in a little bit. The things I didn't like, now I know the two storylines are connected, right? The mirror they had and the mirror that the Swirl family had. That said, I wish there would have been more time spent on the family that was being haunted, because we see them, and it starts. The first scene, I didn't know if they were like, it was like an orphanage or if it was like a big family. There was a bunch of kids running around. I couldn't tell you any of the kids' names. I don't remember them. I don't really know anything about them. It took me a while to remember to figure out who was the mother, who was the husband, were they brother and sister. There's scenes where we see the grandparents are getting wheeled out in stretchers. Apparently they died by the demon, but the movie isn't focusing on them. It's instead focusing on Judy and her fiance, who's trying to gain the love of Ed, her father. There's all these unnecessary scenes where it's his birthday party and it's a cookout and they're playing ping pong back and forth and he's trying to get Ed's approval, and it's just like, we don't need to see this. This is scenes from something you would see in a rom-com or something, not a horror movie. There was way too much attention spent on that and not enough attention spent on the actual interesting storyline, which was the Smurls and their family being haunted by this demon and this mirror. I understand that we're connected, but there need to be more time spent on that and probably less time on Judy and her husband and all that pointless nonsense. And maybe this movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes long. It probably could have been an hour 30, hour 45. So when they eventually take the case and they go to their house, that's where things start to get ridiculous. Let's start off with the fiance. He takes the car outside as, the demons are coming to life or whatever. And instead of just turning around or going straight, he goes like 50 feet and then he does like a donut. And I don't think he's being possessed during this. And he whirls around and then he just crashes like a block down. So that was weird. Then this is the part that I'll tie into what I said at the beginning. It was scary at first because the demons and the monsters, you saw them, but you didn't really get a good glimpse of them, so it left a lot to the imagination. But then once there was that scene in the basement with Lorraine and the husband who slayed his wife and her lover with the axe, you saw a good look at his face. The scene lasted a little too long, so you got used to the face and the scare of it kind of wore off, and you got that a little bit. I know Annabelle was involved in the previous movies. I thought the presence of the doll and the scene where The Annabelle doll enlarges. It was just too much. Came off as weird. The I laughed in the theater. My friends gave me shit for it. The scene with the golden retriever just being picked up and thrown into the wall was weird. And then lastly, the whole idea of like the girls could put the mirror out in the trash and it could be crushed by the trash men, but then it would make its way back in the closet, but somehow, or in the attic, but somehow all they needed to do to stop it was for Judy to just look at it and face her fears as it's some metaphor for life. It was just ridiculous and corny, even for horror movie standards. I understand there's going to be good resolutions that make complete sense, but that was weird. And then all they have to do is bring it back to their secret little room with powers where they keep all the haunted stuff and they don't really get terrorized for the rest of their lives and live happy ever after. So the it was good at first, but then it kind of lost me in the end. It needed to focus more on the family that was actually being haunted and less about establishing this family dynamic of Judy and her husband. And I would have liked to know, what was it about that specific demon that targeted, why did that demon target Lorraine and Judy and want her dead? Obviously we know the connection with the mirror, but why specifically? And I guess we'll never know, or maybe it went over my head, I don't know. So it was good at the beginning, definitely captivating, but then it kind of got a little bit ridiculous at the end. So that's my review. Coming up next week or 2 weeks from now, I believe, is the movie Him, I believe it's called, directed by Jordan Peele. So that will be a good one. I will review that. But for now, that is my review of The Conjuring: Last Rites. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you guys next time.